Hi! Look, I've got hair. I have decided that I am going to experiment with ways to put my hair down. Now, the problem I have is I don't want it to be in my face when I lean over. I have a hair thing going on about how perfect it needs to look at the front, and I have tried this sort of thing before, but I haven't been able to get them to stay on my head. But I've found a way. So now I am trying this. This is a scarf that I have just got from Rapunzel. I'll put their website down here. And it was actually a friend of mine who put me onto them. And they do full head scarves and half wrap scarves and all sorts of scarves, various shapes, sizes, and I thought I'd try a few, and they've got some little tricks in order to keep them on your head. So yes, if you're interested to know about that, let me know and I'll show you a few once I've gotten the hang of it a bit more. So what do you think? I think it looks all right. I'm pretty happy with it, and the curls, they are natural. This is what happens if I just leave my hair to dry. If I try and dry it and brush it, it will go like this. I look like crystal tips. It's ginormous. So that's what's going on here. And it matches with my shirt quite nicely. So yes, so I'd love to hear your feedback on that. Anyway, what have I been up to this week? Well, this week, I wrote it down so I didn't forget. This week, I have been working on self-care. Aside from that, I've also been given a little technique to work through when I get stressed. Now, what I've found recently is that all sorts of ridiculous little things will just set me off like that, and it promotes an absolutely extreme reaction in me, and I don't always expect it coming. Now, I think that is part of the PTSD diagnosis. However, I've got this little technique that I have been given that I can use in order to calm myself down if that was to happen. And I've had an opportunity to use that once this week, and it worked quite nicely. I've been working on self-care, like I said at the beginning. So the things that I've been doing self-care wise are as follows. So the week sort of went like this. On the weekend, last weekend, I went to the Highlanders. No, I didn't. I went to see the All Blacks, and that absolutely wiped me out. On a Monday, I was just like a write-off. I really beat myself up about this because I didn't see why just going to a rugby game should knock me for six. But it was explained to me that, yes, it's quite mentally stressful when you've got to navigate a new situation, a new town and new places with a mobility problem. And that whole, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? How am I going to get to here, there, everywhere, is quite mentally stressful, aside from the fact that moving around is physically stressful. So on Monday, I didn't do much at all. And it was absolutely the right thing to do, to have a day off. And I've been told, and I've written it down, that I should not stop doing those things, but I should expect to have to give myself a rest afterwards. I've been doing other things like giving myself time out. So I went for a walk in the park. I actually even went to the beach. It's the first time that I've been to the beach for a really, really, really long time. Years, in fact. I used to go very, very regularly. It's one of my favourite places. But walking on the soft sand just became too hard, even when I had a foot, never mind when I didn't. And then when I was on crutches, it was just like, So I tried the beach, and it's been 9 months now. And I managed it all right, and I got around all right. I wasn't staring at the floor obsessively like I do sometimes. I didn't fall over. What I did discover, though, is the beach has changed shape and the sand dunes have moved, and there's now quite a high sandbank that never used to be there. Note to self, walking on the sand is okay once you've got the hang of it. Walking down a sand dune, easy. Walking up a sand dune, really, really difficult. I must have looked, I'm glad there was no one else there, because I must have looked like quite comical, climbing up the sand dunes on my feet and using my hands like I was climbing a wall, because I was just too scared to trust what was happening under my left knee because I didn't actually know, because the foot will flex itself and I've got no idea what it's doing, especially going up a hill. So yeah, but anyway, I made it. I didn't fall over. Nobody pointed and laughed, so it was all right. I've been coming to this beach for many years, but I haven't been down here for a wee while. And it's really interesting because here's an example of shifting sands. Now that is quite a steep bank on the sand there, and just a year ago this channel was never there. That sandbank came straight across and you could walk straight across and onto that little mound. Now it's a water channel and the two beaches will be cut off when the tide comes in. There's the other side of the sandbar. Now what I found on sand is going down slopes with a prosthetic is easy. Going up slopes is not. And made me feel quite happy because now I can access a beach again, and it's quite a big thing to walk on uneven surfaces and that sort of thing when you're an amputee, for sure. Been swimming, and I went swimming at the wrong time of the day. It's the school holidays here. Now in New Zealand there are 4 terms and they are all 10 to 12 weeks long with 2 weeks in between. Now that's not what happens in England, but I know it does happen in other places in the world. So I forget, now that I'm not connected to the school systems, I forget when it's the school holidays. And I walked in and went, There's the deep end. It's a 50-metre pool with a bulkhead in it. The deep end has got lanes going across, not lengthways, so something's happening down there. In the shallow end, there's an inflatable party thing going on in one half of it. There's a swimming lesson going on, and there's 3 public lanes, and that's all. And there's usually 8 to 12. So I was like, So I didn't stay very long. But what I did actually discover is I was actually able to swim average pace faster than I expected. And it wasn't really trying. It was just a case of, right, let's do this and let's leave because this is stressful. Anyway, that was quite a pleasant surprise. But the biggest thing that happened was actually a reality check, and it was about the fact that went to the pharmacy to pick up some repeat meds. Now this is not new, but I've got a massive stash and I haven't needed to do this for ages. So it's been 3 months maybe since I've had to go to the pharmacy to get anything. Now the pharmacy I go to knows me really well, has been right with me right the way through the journey. We're usually really keen to see how I'm getting on. And I strolled into the pharmacy and they were like, but wait, you've got no crutches. And they were jumping up and down with joy about how the fact that, you know, walking, you couldn't really tell if I had an artificial leg or not. And they were so excited to see that. And it just made me stop and think, you know what, actually, the last couple of months, I have actually done quite well and worked my butt off. That is for sure what I've been doing. So that was really good to see and to get reminded of from people that have not seen me all of the time. But on the flip side of things, I was confronted with a problem this week that I hadn't anticipated would even be a thing. So aside from the fact that I've actually finally had the custom wheelchair approved, yay! It's only taken 7 months since ACC took over. You know, like 9 months since they amputated. I could have done with it before, but anyway, I've had that approved, so that will now take 6 to 10 weeks to make, and it'll be the proper size. No one have to hang on to my left foot and hope it doesn't jump off the foot plate and all that sort of thing. But I've also had the bike leg approved, which is a really big thing for me because obviously, you know that I want to be cycling, and we've had to build it out of second-hand parts, cast-offs and old sockets, because we hadn't got the funding to do that. So now I'm going to get a bike leg with bike leg maintenance and all that sort of thing, the same as the walking leg. However, what we've run upon is another problem. So this, I said to my prosthetist, right, this foot, it's great. Now, can we go on to hydraulics and cushioning? Because I've been reading the K levels. This is a K3 foot hydraulics. It's got mobility. K4 is hydraulics and cushioning. And he asked me when I had this foot, did I want to be able to dash across the road or bend and twist in fancy ways? And I thought, both. But at that point, I was more interested in the bending and twisting because it would make my walking gait look more normal. Now, at least twice today, somebody has said to me, you wouldn't even know you had a false leg. So it's working really well. But what if I want to dash across the road? Well, it's like running on concrete with this. Imagine, I don't think you can imagine. Imagine jumping up and down, but don't use your ankles. You're just going to land flat-footed like that. It's bloody horrible. Yes, it is. Well, that's what happens under my left leg. So I've got boing, not boing. And it makes things really hard. So I wanted to be able to, I don't know, dash across the road, change speed if I'm trying to catch up with someone, that sort of thing. And it's like running in concrete boots with my left leg if I try to do that. But there's bad news. I can't. I've got to choose between bending and flexing or bounding. I can't do both. It's like, well, why not? Because if we go for the hydraulic ankle with cushioning, we lose the flexion. Oh, that's a bit shit. You don't have, you've never thought about your knees, your ankles, your foot, your elbows, whatever. You've never actually ever had to, nobody's ever had to say to you, what would you like to do with your hand? Would you like to pick up a cup or write with a pen? You can only have one or the other. Well, that's what's happening with this leg. So, yeah, that makes it really quite hard. So then I was like, and I haven't had an answer to this because I think my prosthetist is like, The next thing was like, okay then, do we need to talk about a springy carbon fibre leg for the dashing and things? And he hasn't answered me yet. But if I'm going to be doing the personal training side of things properly, I'm going to have to. I can do star jumps, I can do mountain climbers, and I can demonstrate plank jacks and things like that, but only one or two because it's like running in concrete boots. And I know I'm not really supposed to, and it's going to put too much pressure through the knee because there's no cushioning. So, yeah, I'm having a bit of a dilemma. Yeah. But the bonus of it all is I've been working really hard on the return to work thing. Now, back in July, no, this is July. Back in June, May or June, maybe it'd be, they did a return to work assessment and decided it would not be really that possible. And I was devastated. But I'm not done with them yet, because I have found a few ways to get around things. And the one big thing that I can now do, which is really going to help when it comes to going back to massage, is this. Now, when she did the assessment originally, I couldn't do that. So that means I'm getting stronger. Yes. But the other thing that this foot does that an ordinary foot wouldn't, another prosthetic foot wouldn't do, is lateral flexion. And I'll show you what that is. So yes, it allows the sideways flexion, which was giving me a big problem with my previous foot, because as soon as I tried to do that, the side of my foot would come off the floor, or the heel would come up off the floor, because there wasn't enough ankle bend either. And I couldn't massage because I tried. And I ended up taking the leg off and kneeling on a stool because it was easier. So this foot is definitely easier. But I need both, Ryoji, I need both. I need to be able to bend and twist and jump and all them other things. So yes, we're gonna have to have a conversation about a springy leg. I have a feeling that might take a while. Anyway, that's my weekly update. Do feel free to ask me any questions, send me any feedback, that sort of thing. I would love to hear from you. This is like 7 weeks with my current leg. I feel like me and this leg have made friends now. And I sort of feel like I need to go to Dunedin sometime soon, because my car is like on autopilot to Dunedin. It's been a wee while since I've had to drive there, which seems strange because I can do other things instead of driving up and down the road. So it's been that sort of week. Reasonably good progress, I would say. and that's where we're at. So have a lovely evening and I'll talk to you soon.